Hello. So, just this Sunday, I told you guys that, sometimes you wake up in the morning and you're just ready to stop playing small. And so, here I am, stop playing small. Um, it's been times in my life where humble for me meant being quiet, me not celebrating myself, meaning I really wasn't going to highlight some of my accomplishments because I didn't want it to look like I was bragging or I was boasting about anything. But, as I continue to have these calls with these agents, my agents, other people that come to me for advice through my career, it is very certain that I have a gift that I've been having for a long time. And one of those things is helping people to see past a lot of their limiting beliefs. I know y'all heard me say it before, but let me show you how. So, you get into real estate. It's a very low barrier entry career. You don't have to have much money to get into real estate. You barely need $2,000 after you pay your board fees, your MLS fees, your license, insurance, or whatever the case may be. You take a course and then you take the test to get into real estate. And so it's one of those careers that it doesn't take you a lot of money or time to get into, but yet you can earn a lot of money if you do it right. And a lot of people get into this real estate career and they get into it with the ideal that they're going to be really successful doing it. And so they start at one real estate company and they think that this real estate company is supposed to give them what they need to be successful. And so they bounce from companies to companies. They go from this company because this company is promising this training, or this company is promising this commission, and this company is giving these leads and all of these things, right? And so they go all around the world trying to find something that honestly they don't even know what they're looking for, to be honest with you. Being a realtor means being that you're an entrepreneur, you're a self-employed person. A lot of people get into this business without proper business background. They don't know how to run a business, how to operate a business, what it takes to succeed in a business. And they go around looking for something that honestly, they don't even really know what they're looking for. And so a lot of people get out of the industry because of that. So the people that get it though, those top producers that you do see at the top 10%, they're spending money, okay? They're spending money for training. They're spending money for technology. They're spending money for accountability, coaching, which is very, very big. They're going to conferences. They're paying for classes, trainings, and all the things. And they're doing this on a monthly basis, okay? They're pouring into their business. You cannot make money with no money. You need money to make money. And so that's the biggest misconception. And so they go to these companies looking for something, bringing nothing, but wanting to receive something, right? So there's two options that you have whenever you get into this career. You could either pay a coach, you can pay for some type of marketing, lead generation systems, that's only going to take you so far, honestly. You could pay to go to conventions, conferences, trainings, and things like that. That's going to cost you thousands of dollars as well. Or you can plug in and get to a team that has all of these things built in, right? They have your accountability, they have your systems, they have your coaching, the right team now. The right team is going to have all those things for you. They have leads, they have all these things, right? Leverage for you to be able to focus on your top 20%, while the leverage focuses on the 80% to have you not have to worry about your paperwork, have to worry about anything like that, right? And so I find that a lot of realtors, they're just not willing to invest in their own business. And so a lot of times that's why they struggle so much, because they don't want to invest into their business, and they come into it with this misconception that they don't need much more money, or they come into it with this misconception that it's not going to take much money to be able to make the money, and that's not true. I just want to give these real estate companies credit, right? Because I ran a real estate company. Like I said, I I'm gonna do a humble brag. I've built one of the #1 real estate teams in the Gulf State region. The Gulf State regions of Keller Williams is Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida. So it encompasses all of that. I did that. I was one of the first real estate teams, the first real estate team at Keller Williams Acadiana. I got into this business 22 years ago. I became a top producer at a very, very young age. I sought out training. I was one of the first people in our market center to start using the KW Maps coaching, to start using the KW Maps. I would come to Austin to take classes. I went to family reunions all over the country. That was our convention, conferences, and all the things like that. I was at this one conference, and there was this one guy from California. He did phenomenal things. He had a team, and that was at the time that Keller Williams had launched their expansion systems operations, where you can form a team and then your team can expand into different states, different areas, different regions, and then you have your one team under one umbrella, but you have operating systems all over the country, right? Expansion directors here, expansion directors there, everywhere. So he was in Washington, he was in Las Vegas, he was in California. His name was Brandon Montemeyer. I don't think he's with Keller Williams anymore, but he was speaking on the stage, right? And when he was speaking on the stage, he was talking about all these great things that he had did. At that time, I hadn't had a team at the time. I was so inspired by this man. When he got off of that stage, I walked and I shook his hand and we talked on the side, and this was thousands of people, right? And I asked him, I said, do you have room to coach one more person? And we talked and he said yes. I paid Brandon $1,500 a month for him to coach me. After being coached by Brandon for about 6 months, I then decided to open up my real estate team, call it the Red Door team. Back then, this was about maybe 13 years ago. And after that, I went on to have my own brokerage where I had 45 agents at one point. When I sold it back to Keller Williams, we came back to Keller Williams. It was 35 of us that came back to Keller Williams. Some agents stayed, some agents decided to go elsewhere. But there was one thing that I understood from that learning phase, right? Because people looked at it as a failure. I looked at it as learning. I really wasn't ready to get into production full time. A lot of my time and my attention when I had the brokerage was inside of the training room, because I knew what realtors needed and I was still functioning as a team instead of a brokerage, right? The reason why I had left Keller Williams is because, there was a lot of things that was going on with leadership that I wasn't happy about at the time. And some of my agents were threatening to leave. And so before they left, I actually took the leap of faith and I opened up my own brokerage. Not anything that I actually wanted to do, but I did it. And because I had the heart to teach these agents and to be able to better prepare them, I spent a lot of my time in the training room. I didn't have the technology. Well, I didn't have the leverage to be able to have someone to train them while I continue to operate my team. There's a lot of things that I could have done differently back then that I look back now and yeah, that was not right. So when you're having a brokerage, especially a small boutique brokerage, if the broker is not producing, it's going to be hard for that brokerage to stay alive and survive financially. And so going back to Keller Williams means that I actually gave myself a pay increase. When your income goes from $300,000 to $400,000 a year to $100,000 a year, yeah, that's a big pay cut. And so over those 3 years, that's kind of what I looked forward to. Like, that was my income at the time. And so I closed that brokerage because I had, a lease that was involved in that. Because I had a phone system that was involved with that, I closed the brokerage. I filed Chapter 7 bankruptcy. I started all over again. That's another theme of my life. My whole life, the whole rank theme has been about restarting. So rebuilding, that's just been the theme, right? And so right now in my life, though, I don't know another time where I fully feel like myself, know who I am, know my purpose, know what I'm called to do, then now, okay? And so I know that my calling has been a thread that's been running through my life for a long time, actually since I was younger. It's been a running thread, you know, helping people to see themselves bigger, to do things that they wouldn't have normally done, helping them overcome their limiting beliefs, creating communities for people to feel like they're a part of something. A lot of times people go into these teams, and every team is not created equally, right? But I do know one thing for sure, that I have perfected coaching, I've perfected accountability, I've perfected systems. You know, those are things in community too, right? Just having a community of people that can pour into each other, because it's very lonely when you're an entrepreneur or in real estate. You can get lost in this business doing things by yourself. And so I feel like I did that pretty well. God has a way of bringing you right back to where he wants you to be, right? People asked me a long time ago, will you ever start a team all over again? No, I would never do it. If that has been you, I want you to comment under this post and say, I told you so. My passion comes from helping people to be better, period. That's just what I do. That's what makes me excited. Like helping people accomplish goals that they wouldn't have thought that they can do otherwise. All I want to do is help people to do things and give them the systems and the tools to get that done. Right? Along with my gifts, my visionary gift. I sit here and I wonder, you know, what would happen if a person, before they give up, believe in themselves, willing to bet on themselves, and sometimes that means taking a chance. You're either going to spend your money on a coach, accountability, training, or you're going to spend your money on a team. You're going to have to give up some money for that. Yes, you do. So a lot of people don't want to be on a team because they know that there are splits that are involved. You know, they have to pay this person and they have to pay the real estate company to do this, and then all they're thinking about is cut. But do you know how much cuts you have to do when you're a top producer? Like, I mean, golly, like I think I was paying at one point, before I even had the team, $8,000 a month. That was my business cost every month. When I had the brokerage, it was about $20,000, right? These top producers, they're spending money. They're spending money for training, thousands of dollars to go to conferences, classes, tools, coaching. Let me say it again, coaching, right? A coach is going to stretch you further than you're going to be comfortable to do. And all of the success, all of the good things happen outside of your comfort zone, correct? So you're either going to pay someone individually to be successful, or you're going to do it as on a team, on the right team. And so the choice is up to you. So if you're a realtor and you are struggling, right? You don't know what to do. You're going from one company to the next company. You're trying to find the perfect fit. The company is not going to give it to you, baby. You got into this business as an entrepreneur, an independent contractor, a business owner. It's up to you to invest in yourself. Nobody's going to give you it. So pay for a coach, pay to go on a conference, pay for some training, okay? Pay for leverage, pay for all of these things, right? So that way you can fly. You're not going to fly without it. And if you can't do that, find you a team that's compatible to you, that it's aligned with you and your goals, and get on that team so that way that team can help you to get all these things done. You plug in and you go, you fly. The one thing that I can take pride in, you can say a lot of things about me, right? But the one things that you can't say about me is that I don't help people become better. People come on my team and they become top producers in our industry. That's a fact, right? And I'm very hesitant because I don't want to feel like I'm bragging, but that's been one of my strengths, right? So I'm gonna leave y'all with this. Take the step. If God planted a seed in you, right? And you went and you took the test and you paid all this money to get into this industry, you owe it to yourself to keep investing in yourself. And if you want to have a conversation with me about how that looks on the Promise Keys team, because I know that my work is not done. I may have moved locally from Lafayette, but I'm still building. I'm still building there. I'm building over here in Houston, Texas, and I'm soon going to be building somewhere else. But one step at a time, right? I know that God has big things for me, and I know that He's asking me to use my gifts differently in this season. But the one thing that remains true is real estate is my home. Real estate is the vehicle for me to have done my purpose, for me to carry out my purpose. Real estate has been that for me, right? I think that the reason why that I have been so blessed, I think the reason why I've been so blessed in my career and in my life is because I've been following God's calling for a very long time. And part of that has been through real estate. And so I just ask that, if He gave you vision for it, to follow that vision through and to link with a visionary like myself to help you to see how to get that done. You may not know how to get there, but I can break it down for you and show you the path, right? I have people that can help you to get where you need to be. Now, one thing that I haven't been is boastful or braggy or any of those things, because I think when it all boils down to it, I kind of lacked a little bit of confidence in that. I just didn't want to stand in who I was or accept who I was. And sometimes we're the last people to know what we're really worth, especially when you're going through things in life. But I think it says a lot, all of the things that I have accomplished in my career in these 22 years, all with what I was dealing with personally, right? And so if I could do all of those things while being a single woman when I first started, single mother, while dealing with a toxic marriage and a toxic relationship, while dealing with battling my own illness, dealing with children with their special needs and their circumstances, while having financial issues, because we know that this business, especially if you're doing this full time, and you don't have another source of support or income, it can come with all types of fluctuations, right? But in order to continue to do this business, you need money to make money. And so, it was times where, like, when my little kids were growing up, the older two, we're rich, we're poor, we're rich, we're poor, we're rich, we're poor. And it's like, you go through these ups and downs, and then you finally get to a point where things are steady. And it's crazy because, right now, we kind of had a little glimpse of that all over again, because we're really rebuilding all over again. We did it before, right? So we know what it feels like. We know what it feels like to do the red light, green light. Okay, well, we're not going to do this week, or we're not going to do that next week, and everything like that, because number one, I sold my house for $100,000 less than the market value. Oops. I thought I was going to be buying this summer. I had an investment property that I was under $130,000. Whoop, there we go. And so, you go through all these things, but it's one thing that remains the same. I'm determined. So yeah, things going to be happening in life, but at the end of the day, I have to focus on the good, always focus on the good, there's a good thing happening right now. I just got word that, one of my clients that was struggling, she's able to purchase right now. She didn't think she can do it. She's going through a divorce, and for some reason, she thought that she would have to wait until it's finalized. She doesn't have to do that anymore. I had good news with a housing situation that's going on, and that's something that I'm really happy about, right? There's a lot of things that's going on at the same time, right? Like, you could have the good and the bad going on at the same time, but you cannot let the bad weigh you down. I just lost my uncle. He helped me to be the person that I am, him along with my aunt Savannah. He was 90 something years old, lived a great life. He was a retired police officer, and that's something that we're going to have to face next week for the funeral. We're going to come together as a family to, say our goodbyes and, memorialize him and everything. And, there's my son that's been kind of having a hard time, my 11-year-old. At the same time, though, like, my illness is kind of stabilized. I've been having good days, really way much good days, than I've been having bad days. Finances are looking up, finally, because that was, the last year has been something. It's been something, right? We had an issue with one of something else that I had going on my cruise. That's coming together pretty good, My children, Sydney just came out of 2 years of being sober. Jaden is not, he's sober. They have their own things that they're battling, but God is speaking. God is showing up for me, and my prayers are getting answered, right? I just built this community of women that has been pouring into me more than I've been pouring into them. And I think now we're like a community of 60 strong, and we meet every other week, by the way. So if you're in a season of rebuilding, definitely reach out to me, and I can get you linked into that community, because that community has been amazing. It has really been a blessing on a lot of women's life. And I'm actually looking at that while I'm talking to y'all. Today's devotion, let me show y'all what it is. So today's devotion, right? Can you see it? Right. Isolation is a trap. God wants us to be in community with others, especially other women who can support our growth, right? That's the whole reason why I actually started that community, because with social media, we are so connected, yet we're so disconnected. We're more disconnected than we ever have been in society. And there's a lot of people that are dealing with hard things and don't know how to navigate it, because we're so disconnected. So the community is actually built so women can have a place to go where they feel seen, heard, and they feel like, they can get advice about their situation, or support, or prayers, or guidance from other women that has already walked that path, that can help them to cross over to the next parts of their lives. And that has been an amazing community for me. But like I mentioned, I'm like, God is using my gifts differently in this season, and I'm really enjoying it. Like, that's been exciting for me to watch that grow. And also just being able to really find my voice, right? To find my voice and to be comfortable in that voice. And my coaching has gone from 0 to like 100. Like, it's on 100. Like, my coaching has gone, I don't even know, like, it's going crazy. And so that's another thing that I'm excited about, because, I've learned through so much in the 22 years that I have been in the business, and all of the lessons that I learned, I pour into them, And a lot of the coaching that I do is more transformational coaching than it is productivity coaching. Now, don't get me wrong, though. I'm really strong with the productivity coaching, because I'm a numbers girl. Like, I can whip some numbers out here and there and tell you everything it needs to be. That has been one of my strongest points since I was, little. But the vision comes, I have to show you how to get there. And so with real estate, it's a relationship business, and then second is a numbers thing. So, when we put those two together, relationship, psychological, things to help you break through those things, and then put the numbers on how to get there. And then it's just simple to get there. Now we just need you to do the work, right? Now we need the leverage and the systems and the pieces to come together for you to get those things accomplished. And so, that's what we do here at Promise Keys team. I'm really excited. We just hired on a transaction coordinator. Her name is Katie Keller. She's amazing. I mean, she is amazing. One of the people that helped me to build the Red Door team that was really pivotal in the growth of that team was Shawana Sam. She was my assistant when I first started Red Door. I hired her as my assistant, and when I told her what I wanted to do, this was when I came back from the conference. I'm like, Shawana, I want to do a team. And she's like, wow. I'm like, I really want to do Red Door team. And no, it wasn't Red Door at the time. I really want to start a team because I want to be able to expand into all of these different areas. I'm always a big thinker, right? And I was so excited. I was like, I met this guy. He's going to be my coach, and he's going to help me expand here, and he's going to help me expand there. And so the whole reason for forming Red Door, guess what, was to expand. Guess where I'm at right now? Expanding. New name, same plan. 13 years later, God has a sense of humor. Boy, he does. All it took me is to let go of all of the things that was weighing me down from my purpose for me to see the vision. And he made that clear. So I picked it up. All of my passions are coming back. All of the things that excited me once are coming back. And those same plans that I had are coming back. And let me tell you something. It has been a journey. It has been exciting. Now, I'm not going to say that it's easy. It's not easy. No, not at all. But it's been exciting to watch it grow. And that's all I wanted to share with y'all. I just really wanted to come on here and talk about that, because a lot of people, they mistake getting into real estate as a job rather than it being I'm an entrepreneur. And then they get excited about the entrepreneur word, right? Because they feel like, okay, well, I'm going to be flexible. I can do this and that. Do you realize how many hours I worked those first few years of my business? At least 60 hours a week. More than that, probably. And if you're building something in the beginning, you're going to be building something. It's going to take a lot of your time. And so now I don't have to work the same way that I used to when I first got started. I still have to give it time and attention, but that time that I used to build that foundation for my business over the years, I am now reaping the fruit of my network. I'm reaping the fruit of my database. I'm reaping the fruit of all of my people that I've poured into over the years, whether that be clients, other agents in the industry, other agents in other areas, lenders, title companies, insurance companies. And so the things that I do right now, I can get to where I need to go faster than I did in the beginning, right? And so it's just interesting to watch that, and I think a lot of people forget who I am, right? You know why they forget who I am? Because I don't remind them who I am. And so here's just a little reminder. But anyway, let me get back to today, and I hope y'all all are enjoying the rest of your day. And if you want to chat with me, just message me and we can have a quick little chat. But anyway, if you want to message me and talk about what it looks like to be a part of this team, and if you're a good fit, message me. The reason why I called it the Promise Keys team this go round is because God's promises still reign true. It's still yours. You just have to go out there and get it. And so I want to help you to do that. So reach out. Talk to y'all later.